1 minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Are you ready for this? Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's Wednesday, May 28th, 2014, and welcome to the Bcs Experience, History, Arts, Culture, Politics, in Review and Discussion. I'm Byron C. Saunders, your host with the most. The BCS Experience takes a look at our rich history, African American history. We're going to share with you some known and unknown historical facts and information from the past, and connect the dots on how they have impacted on our present-day events and how they will definitely shape our future as African Americans in this country and around the world. The BCS Experience, History, Arts, Culture, Politics, in Review and Discussion. This is Internet Radio and will be aired live every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. from the studios of the BW Moving Images on the GoPro Radio Network. You know, I'm really excited about this opportunity to talk to you all across the country and around the globe. I want you to tune in every week on your computer or your phone. I want you to become a loyal listener, and I personally invite you to lend your voice to this radio talk show, to express your opinions on my weekly topics. This is Social Network Radio at its finest. Here's the number for you to call in to be a part of the discussion. Call 347-884-9839. Once again, that number is 347-884-9839. This week's topic, update on the progress of the JAG project, the Joyce A. Gaines project, that tells the compelling story of how young Joyce Ann Gaines became an unwitting provocateur on the evening of August the 11th, 1965, of the horrendous Los Angeles Watts riots. 50 years later, the story untold. That's tonight's topic. My show is the new Underground Railroad. We're the new Underground Railroad Express. Next stop is your neighborhood. All aboard to freedom and Freedom Land. But before we meet my guests, some history, some very important history. The date, it's Tuesday. It's September the 30th, the year 1919. And on this date, in 1919, a race riot broke out in Elaine, Arkansas, in Phillips County between blacks and whites. At the time, many African American sharecroppers had not received their share of wages, and they wanted to join the Progressive Farmers and Household Union of America. Also, the early years of the 20th century were the time of red summers. violent years after Reconstruction. The white citizens of the town thought the society was trying to persuade the sharecroppers to create violence. That month, Union members met near Elaine under armed guards. Two armed white men, one a deputy sheriff, the other a railroad worker, showed up and a fight developed. Both men were shot and a railroad worker was killed. For 2 days, several African Americans and white citizens of the area were killed in fighting. The fighting ended when Arkansas Governor Charles Brough brought in United States soldiers to contain the violence. At the end of the violence, 65 African Americans were brought to trial. 12 were sentenced to death, and the others appealed to higher courts. Scipio Jones, an African American lawyer from Little Rock, helped to fight for injustice for the accused at Elaine. He received assistance from then newly formed National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. And as a result, the rest of the condemned men were set free, and the governor brought African American and white citizens together for discussion on problems between the races. No clear-cut answer for the violence was ever found. Presently, attempts to come to terms with what truly occurred have led to efforts to pay reparations to the victims. No one at this point is leading an effort for reparations in Elaine. Robert Miller, who last year became the first black mayor of nearby Helena, grew up hearing the stories because he is related to one of the 4 black men who were killed in custody. Because of the riots, his grandmother sent his father to Boston to attend school. Currently, race relations in the county are particularly strained. Wow, that happened back in 1919, and here we are in 2014, and race relations are still strained. It tells you something. Anyway, the West Helena Mayor's Office and City Council are divided along racial lines, and so is the County Quorum Court. Well, last week an Oklahoma State Commission recommended reparations for black survivors of the 1921 rampage by white mobs in Tulsa. Historians say as many as 300 blacks were killed there. In 1994, Florida approved $2 million in compensation for 9 survivors and dozens of descendants of a 1923 attack on blacks in Rosewood, Florida. You see, this is not an anomaly. And what happened in Watts, in LA, in 1965 came with precedence on the shoulders of the riots that took place previously in our country. I want to hear from you. Let's connect the dots and make sense out of it all. Hey, call me. 347-884-9839. It's your turn. You can get on the line. We're going to talk about the Watts riots of 1965. Again, that number to call is 347-884-9839. Well, tonight, I have a very special guest returning that will be joining us. Joining me in the studios as my featured call-in guest all the way from Silicon Valley and out there in California. The return of Sister Nedra, also known as Dorothy Holford, who is the founder and producer of the JAG Project, and she is also the creative director of Cool World Media Video Production Company. But before we talk to Sister Nedra, because she's been with us before, let's go back to that moment in time and space. This is the story, obviously, for tonight. We're talking about the 1965 Watts riots. Now, for those of you who are ill-informed or uninformed about the riots, here it is. Here's the brief story. We're going to show you some pictures, and I want you to take a look at some of the pictures and the storyline before we talk to Sister Nedra. The Watts riots, 1965. In August 1965, and there is racial tension building up in your city. The Watts neighborhood of Los Angeles, California is predominantly black, and this is where you and your family reside. Your rights are limited. You have no voice in regards to where you live. The amount of education you receive or where you are employed is limited. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is advocating non-violence, but after a Watts resident named Marquette Fry becomes an alleged victim of police brutality, all hell breaks loose on the West Coast. The Watts riots of 1965 lasted for 4 days, leaving 34 people dead, over 1,000 people injured, and 4,000 people were arrested. The Digital Civil Rights Library documents that over the course of the 6-day riot, more than 14,000 National Guard from the California troops were mobilized in South Los Angeles, and a curfew zone was also enforced. I feel like what caused the rebellion was the complete exhaustion of people's patience with being suppressed and contained by very, very aggressive enforcement tactics by the Los Angeles Police Department, said Timothy Watkins, president and CEO of the Watts Labor Community Action Committee. People were so suppressed and oppressed in their condition of poverty that it was just got to the point of overflow. They couldn't take it anymore, Watkins expressed his feelings about the situation in L.A. Watts Times article. Marquette Fry is a name that you will often hear in relation to Watts' rebellion. Fry being pulled over by police is what some believe ignited the riots. According to conflicting reports on the incident, some say that Fry was driving under the influence and a simple traffic stop resulted in a family being arrested and manhandled by officers, a sight that bystanders didn't agree with. I knew the frustration, the hostility, and I knew the attitude of the police, and it was payback time, recalls Tommy Jacquet. In an NPR article, Jacquet was 21 years old in 1965 and a friend of Fry's. He added that young men being harassed by white police officers was routine during this time. And although after the Fry arrest took place, the riots were launched, and there were more issues surrounding the mistreatment of blacks in the area that served as fuel to the fire. I could go on. You know the story. You've given a piece of the history. Now we're going to bring in a very talented, a very dedicated filmographer. We're talking about none other than Sister Nedra, also known as my dear good friend Dorothy Holford. Good evening, Sister Nedra. Welcome back to the BCS Experience. How are you this evening?
I'm doing excellent.
Well, this is
a little sad.
Yes, we are saddened today. Let me just tell you the news for those who don't know. One of our Renaissance giants, sister who was in the civil rights movement, a wordsmith, a woman of dedication, a brilliant performer herself. We're talking about Sister Maya Angelou, passed away. She was 86 years old. My goodness, Sister Nedra, you stand on the shoulders of some very powerful women.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
She gave us a lot. And she'll
an awful lot.
An
at
awful
a time
lot,
when nobody else were giving us anything.
That's right.
You know.
I mean, her Still I Rise. Whew. Oh my God. I mean, that and Phenomenal Woman. I'm telling you.
The epitome.
I know why the cage bird sings.
Mm.
I mean, we could. The list of her accomplishments puts her in what I would consider the realm of a shero, an African American shero. Okay.
I would say this. Today, I, as I was, reminiscing on her, my readings of her when I was introduced to her, and then I saw a post about her tweets.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, at 86, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Maya was tweeting.
She was tweeting,
and
that's right.
I pulled 2 of those quotes out, and even in a tweet, this woman was magnificent.
Yes.
It's like, such a wordsmith that she could get it all in under 140 characters.
And that's the essence of a great writer. Okay, because poetry is, I find, is very difficult for me to write poetry. I love to read it. I love to hear it recited, and I
Yeah.
really honor those who understand the exactness of the art of writing a word that has power and meaning. And my God,
Yes.
Maya Angelou, she was the queen. In my opinion, she was Mother America. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, she gave us
Mhm.
much, and literally, because when you think about the Watts riots and the Watts writers who came out of them, Ron Karinga, we just lost one of those writers in Amiri Baraka. I mean,
Yes.
we're talking about an incident. Getting back to your story about the 1965 Watts riots, that story in and of itself, because as I understand, Joyce Ann Gaines, and the reason why I opened with that piece about the 1919 riots in Arkansas is because the riots in 1921 that destroyed Greenwood community, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the richest black city in America at that time because of the oil industry.
Mhm.
Joyce Ann Gaines' family migrated from Oklahoma as a result of that incident.
Exactly.
She
Yes.
got
And
they
some stayed, but her dad, her mom, and her uncle came to
to
California
California.
because of an incident. We don't want to give it away. In fact, we'll be in Oklahoma working with the Oklahoma Black Museum
Yes.
uh, to bring you that part of the story.
Excellent. Because that's the part where we're
Mhm.
talking about connecting the dots. I got to take a break here, Sister Nedra. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at your story, the Joyce Ann Gaines Project. I got a YouTube piece I'm going to preface. I want people to check this out, and we're going to let you tell why it's important and what's going on. So don't go away. You're listening to the BCS Experience on the GoPro Radio Network. We'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on GoPro Radio Network shows are solely those of the speakers and are not necessarily the views or opinions of GoPro Radio Networks, Inc. or its affiliates. These broadcasts are provided on the understanding that they do not constitute professional advice or services. Individuals who speak in these broadcasts express their own opinions, experiences, and conclusions. GoPro Radio Networks and its affiliates do not necessarily endorse or oppose any particular opinion or conclusion discussed in these broadcasts. You may not edit, modify, or redistribute these broadcasts in any way without the express permission of GoPro Radio Networks, Inc. GoPro Radio Networks assumes no liability for any of your activities in connection with these broadcasts or for your use of these broadcasts in connection with your website, computer, or playing device.
You want to know the truth, folks? Do you really want to know the truth? Well, perhaps you can't handle the truth. But if you can listen to GoPro Radio. Tune in at www.goproradio.com. Now, have I made myself clear?
GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head. I know I do.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
All right, we're back on the BCS Experience. My goodness. Welcome back, all my listeners. I've got the wonderful, fantabulous filmographer, video supreme directress, none other than Sister Nedra, also known as Dorothy Halford. She's a producer, director, writer, and has a brand new piece that's coming out. We're going to take a look at this piece. It's the Joyce Ann Gaines Project JAG. And we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to come back and talk to Sister Nedra. She's going to tell us all about it. So let's roll that tape for me.
So when we talk about the conditions of hopelessness, helplessness, feeling dispossessed, that breeds a rage in people.
We were in the midst of the Watts riot. I remember the damaged buildings. You could see the smoke. All of the liquor stores, no longer liquor stores.
They were riding right in front of my house.
Nothing but people out on the streets. Everybody looking for something to do.
It looked as if it was a war zone.
We put up Owned by Soul Brothers, black-owned business.
As many as 10,000 Negroes took to the streets in marauding bands.
Everybody's in a frenzy and an explosion of just rage and anger. Everybody was upset.
The rioters seemed to have been caught up in an insensate rage of destruction.
And it was sort of like a crowd mentality. It was part of it.
But then in my lifetime, we've had the Rodney King uprisings right there in the same community.
Between 1965 and 1968, there were several insurrections in urban cities.
Bring it forward to Oakland and what happened here with the shooting of Oscar Grant.
The next thing I know, they're pulling me out of the crowd. I read the paper, and it stated that the first rock was not thrown until after my arrest. So I had to kind of carry that weight. Whew. On my shoulders. I wanted my life to be more than a riot.
Wow. Joyce Ann Gaines Project, JAG, Sister Nedra.
Yes.
That's a powerful piece, my sister. Let me tell you. I got two other callers on the line. Let's bring them in. I think this is some of your folks. Good evening, 310. You're on the air. Welcome to the BCS Experience. And who are you?
Hello.
Hello. Who's calling?
This is Joyce Ann Gaines.
Joyce Ann Gaines, your story is being told on the JAG project. Let me just have you turn that your speaker down. If you're on speakerphone, I'm getting the feedback. Okay. That's okay. And I got one other person on the line. That's 931. Who are you? Welcome to the BCS Experience. Who are you?
Good evening. My name is Miss Hunter.
Miss Hunter.
I'm known on Facebook as Afro Ingenue, and I'm honored to be a part of your airing telecast this afternoon.
Well, welcome. It's nice to have you on there. This is the first-time caller. We got Joyce Ann Gaines on, whose story is the JAG Project itself, and the filmmaker herself, Sister Nedra, producer, director. Welcome you all. Folks, y'all just got through seeing a piece, a little snippet of the story. I have another little piece to play later. But Joyce, let's come to you.
Yeah.
This is your untold story. It's nice to have you back on. We're coming down to the final stretch of getting this project made. Your thoughts, tell us about what's happened in the 50 years since then to your life.
Oh, my goodness. That is too long of a conversation.
Oh, I know it is.
You'll have to wait and see it in the documentary.
Oh, well, now, see, that's great. See, I like the way you're promoting that. Sister Nedra, she's got you.
Yeah.
You got her well spoken there. She's trying to hustle this. Let's get this up. Buy that ticket.
It's a natural. You know, the birds of a feather flock together.
I know that's right. Well, ladies, I gotta say, you're telling a story that has yet to be told, because as you know, originally the incident that kind of started it was the arrest of the brother for what was alleged to be a DUI incident. Okay, let's go back 50 years. You were standing in front of your barber shop, or you came out of the barber shop, Sister Joyce. And what happened next? When you stepped out of the barber shop, what was going on at that time in 1965, in August?
Well, I walked down there to find out because I didn't know.
Yes.
what was going on. I just knew that it was a gathering of people.
And how many people
And
were
I was
outside
looking-
at that time?
Oh, you know what? When I walked down there, I would say maybe 30, 40 people.
Okay. And you all were on the sidewalk kind of watching the incident go down?
Well, no, I came after the fact, actually. That's how the crowd had already gathered.
Okay. And then
Uh-huh.
what happened? Tell us what happened after you got there and you were watching.
But here you go again.
Oh, okay. I'm giving away too much. I know. It's just my nature of me asking questions. All right. So you're going to go.
I didn't know you were going to go that far.
All right. Okay. It's okay. Joyce, I want people to see
fine,
this.
Darling.
I
mean,
know.
I'm just saying.
I know. I know. All right.
It's a lot more to it than I could just answer right now.
Okay. All right.
You know, that's why we're working so hard to get it all out, so you could see it, sit down and relax and enjoy and see just what happened from my point of view.
All right. And I know that's coming up. What's the date of the completion of the project? How about, can we give that information, Sister Nedra?
Well, certainly.
Ask our
Certainly.
producers about that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're looking now to have it firmly into post-production by the 1st of October.
Yes.
And have it out of post-production. And by the way, I want to give a shout-out to my mentor, who is going to be conducting the online editing, the entire color grading and everything for the project. He was just nominated for his 8th Emmy Award.
Oh, wow. You got some good
Yeah.
people. What's his name?
His name is Herb Ferret of First Generation Studios here in San Francisco. One of the only brothers to have a satellite that actually goes, his stuff goes straight to the bird, as he calls it.
Right.
And he's done some phenomenal stuff. And so this will be his 8th Emmy, and I know he's going to bring it home.
Well, that's what's important, because your crew, your story are top notch. These are all great professionals in the business, and you yourself are a photographer who does natural photography, and I've seen some of your work. It's brilliant. But to do a documentary about an incident that took place 50 years ago, a story that really has not been told, because, like we know, the press, historians, when it comes to our story, always seem to sweep it under the rug and give no credence to what really went down. And that's why you're telling this story. This is why it's extremely important. Now, I understand, Joyce, you have a Kickstarter program that's going on because you're trying to bring this home now, down the home stretch, as they say. Got a few more dollars you got to raise. But what's this all about? Tell us about the Kickstarter program. What's going on with this project now?
Well, we have the project on Kickstarter to raise and offset the cost of going back to L.A.
Yes.
Because as we started, documentaries tend to write themselves. And this one is just like the others. It writes itself. Things that we knew about in the beginning, we had no idea that there was more stuff, more people to connect with. So now all of this gathered together. We're ready to go back in July and do the final shoot in L.A. From there, in August, we go to Oklahoma with Joyce. And then from there, we do the reenactment scenes, which I hope you will be a part of here in San Jose at our college. So it's been a trip. Now we are only at this moment. I think the last time I talked to you, we were like $800 off.
Yeah.
But now we're like less than $300
so
away from our goal.
Okay, now folks, you heard that. In addition to being less than $300 from the finish line, y'all got to put in your dollars, your cents, your love, your everything about being a part of this project, making it real, because when they have the red carpet walk, yours truly, the best actor you've never seen, me, Byron C. Saunders. I want to make that red carpet walk now. Come on now.
Well, you're definitely going to do that, sir.
That's right, Joyce. I want to be there. I'll walk with you because I'm going to have my sunglasses on. I know the paparazzi will be out there looking at us.
That'll work.
But in sincerity,
Yeah,
now,
but only 300 away. But I want to say
Yes.
this because it's very important.
Yes.
We have some really awesome volunteers
Yes.
for the project as well. And as a Kickstarter, Kickstarter has to make something for being Kickstarter. And so after we finish going through the process of the fees for conducting the campaign, we actually lose 10%
Okay.
of what we earn.
So we need to go
So
over.
we wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Huh?
We need to go over the
We would not
tagged
mind
amount.
overfunding.
That's
oh
right.
no.
No.
And if we're able to overfund, what this listening audience has an opportunity to do is to make it possible for us to give nice gratuities to our volunteers, because
Yes.
if you've ever been on a film set, you know how hard people work.
Oh yeah.
People work, and we've had people to just say, listen, I just want to be a part of it, but my spirit is really difficult for me to not give people something for their hard work. The scripture says a workman is worth his wage.
Amen.
So we want to be able to give them gratuities as well as all of the other things that we must pay for when we get there.
All right. Now I like
That's
that.
what overfunding this project will do.
And
And
that's-
they will have evidence of it as everything, I'm crazy with the camera, so I'm going to document everything.
Oh, of course, you have to have the story that tells the story. Anyway, we got to
That's
take
right.
we got to take a break, and when we come back, I want you to give out that information about how and where to send those donations to help make this project cross the finish line on time, and of course, have me as one of those wonderful talents in the film itself. Anyway, you're listening to the BCS Experience at the GoPro Radio Network. Don't go away, because we'll be right back.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a great opportunity. If you have a product or a service, a talent or something important to say, now's your chance to have your very own radio show. Whether you're just starting out, a veteran looking for a professional platform to enhance your presentation, the GoPro Radio Network is the premier place to cultivate and share new and exciting content. We'll help you to grow your audience and keep it growing long after your first broadcast. Now you have a voice. Call 212-696-8562 today or visit www.goproradio.com and you'll be amazed at how easy and affordable it is to have your very own show on the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
You want to know the truth, folks? Do you really want to know the truth? Well, perhaps you can't handle the truth. But if you can listen to GoPro Radio. Tune in at www.goproradio.com. Now, have I made myself clear?
GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head. I know I do.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
All right, we're back on the GoPro Radio Network on the BCS Experience. Hey, I'm Byron C. Saunders, your host with the most. Now, my show is one of the top-rated shows here at GoPro Radio. We're the fastest growing network in the galaxy. You just heard that. But you know how we got to be that and why my show is a top-rated show? It's because we're listener-sponsored, and I need your help. Here's how you can keep me on the air and keep my show top-rated. Make a donation. Make a pledge. It is real easy. All you have to do is go to GoProRadio.com and click on that button that says donation. That's how you do it. Become a stakeholder for my show. Help support my initiative to keep me as the new Underground Railroad Express, the BCS Experience. And when you make that donation, thank you generously for making it. But at the end, indicated that you wanted to go to the BCS Experience. Once again, that's at GoProRadio.com. Make that donation today. And thank you for showing me the love, because I want to show it right back to you. All right, we're back. I've got on my air tonight, featured, the producer, the writer, the director, Sister Nedra, also known as Dorothy Holford, and she's got a great project called the JAG Project. Now, if you don't know the nomenclature of JAG, J-A-G, it's the Joyce Ann Gaines story. 50 years ago, that story began with an arrest of a young Joyce Ann Gaines in Los Angeles. 1965, the Watts riots. It was August. It was hot. Much was going on. Unemployment within the black community was high. Confrontations, police department, the community, high. Tensions, very high. And Joyce Ann Gaines stepped out of her barbershop onto the corner and unfortunately was arrested. And as a result of her arrest and some feeling that state police department had arrested a pregnant woman, I understand, because she had on her barbershop smock. Joyce Ann Gaines, you're on the air with us. Is that your story? Hello, Joyce? Bring her. There you are. That's your story, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's indeed. Now, I've got two other callers on the line. I got Ms. Hunter, and then I've got caller 917. Welcome to the BCS Experience. Who are you?
Hi, Dr. B. Stephen.
Oh, it's Stephen, my co-host who's not here, but he's here. He's on the line. Okay. Yeah. I see you over there, Stephen. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Now, Miss Hunter.
Sir, how you doing?
Well, I'm great. It's nice to have you here and not be here, but you're here. Any event.
Yeah, I'm not in. I couldn't make it in the studio.
You couldn't make it in the studio, but I appreciate your dedication. All right, Sister Miss Hunter, 931. What did you know before today about the Watts riots? That really something. Tell us what you know. Where you from originally? Where you living?
I live currently in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay.
But originally, I was raised in New York City, Brooklyn, to be exact.
Okay.
And what drew me to Miss Gaines' story was, first of all, my love for African American history.
Yes.
That was something that was regularly taught and regularly celebrated in my home, even as a youngster.
All right.
And it really did not matter where the black history was taking place, because it was my understanding that black is black globally.
Amen.
And thus all contributions are important to being incorporated into the fabric throughout the Americas and the entire world.
Okay.
With that being said,
yes.
I do remember being told about the 1965 riots and how the hopelessness and how the tempo and the pulse that the people were feeling back then created the environment, and also how it affects them even today in 2014.
Right.
And what ultimately drew me to the project was my belief in Miss Holford and her seriousness about it, and her drive and her initiative to do whatever it took to be able to get this story out and to be able to reveal a missing part of history,
yes.
which again is very, very important to me. And I personally, I do not endorse and I do not support anything or anyone if I do not believe solely in it, and I do not feel that the person or persons involved do not take it seriously and have a passion for it. And because there's passion all through this thing, I'm on board 100%.
Well, thank you, Miss Hunter. Calling from Tennessee, Sister Nedra. You got fans all across the country. That's what I'm trying to let you know. All right.
Yeah, well, you know, Miss Hunter is my play daughter. You know, that's what we have in our community.
That's
play
right.
Children.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
No, and that's good.
My beloved.
That's what it takes. We've got lots of love in our community and our extended family relationships, because that's important as well. And for those of you who don't know, because the story of Joyce Ann Gaines, whose family was, believe it or not, was affected by the 1921 riots in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And did you know that today in history, in African American history, is the day that was the beginning of the Trail of Tears? And that folks, that if you don't know about that story, that's when this United States government Andrew Jackson, president, signed into order to move the Indians, the Native American Indians and some African slaves all the way from the Carolinas and Florida, the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Seminoles, all the way, moved them, an entire nation of Native Americans moved from that region all the way to Oklahoma. Okay? They didn't have station wagons. They were moving on foot. They didn't even have covered wagons. And do you know they marched those people from the Carolinas all the way to Oklahoma, and then when they were in Oklahoma celebrating this coming May the 31st, 1921, they were celebrating in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the community of Greenwood, celebrating their anniversary of their town being founded. Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma was at that time the richest black city in America. Oil. Forget about the Clampetts. We're talking about the folks in Tulsa, Oklahoma who were that wealthy. White folks went rioting and went crazy over racism and bigotry and destroyed that entire town. And those folks who were migrated from the east with the Trail of Tears had to pick up stakes again and move all the way to California. That's what Joyce and Gaines' family did. That's a story that has connected dots, folks. See, all of this is connected. We got to figure this out. That's why we're doing this show today, so we can help Sister Nedra get those final funds. Now, Sister Nedra, how does one send money for this project to get it completed? What do we do?
If it's on your heart to help us finish, then you simply go to our website, which is www.jagthedoc.com. JagTheDoc.com, which stands for Joyce and Gaines, the documentary. So if you go there, you'll see a button that says contribute. You just click on that button, and it will land you on the funding page of Kickstarter.
Is there a phone number?
The phone number, no, Kickstarter doesn't have a phone number.
Okay.
Our contact number is on the website, though.
Okay.
But we have to run it all through Kickstarter, otherwise we lose what we've already gained on Kickstarter. So unfortunately, we can't take funding via PayPal or other avenues at this point.
That's okay. That's why we're doing this story right now. We're going to have people send those donations in, Sister Nedra. That's so critical to finish this project, bring it home, because the story has not been told in America. Right. We have a moral.
And we often get really upset when someone else tells our story and doesn't tell it correctly. So this is an opportunity to see to it that doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for the stories that we have had this year in film that have really broken ground, so a story like the JAG Project can be completed and done professionally. I mean, that goes out because a shout out to 12 Years a Slave, 42, Belle. I mean, the sister who did Belle is a beautiful story. If you haven't seen it, it's another one of those true stories. We had the Butler. Okay, I mean, this has been a banner year for us as African Americans to have our stories told, and I mean true stories. I remember Hosea Williams, one of my mentors with SCLC, who worked with Martin Luther King Jr., and he told me and his daughter, Elizabeth Omalani, because we were graduates from Hampton, speech and drama, and he said to us as we were starting People Survival Theater in Atlanta, which was a part of SCLC, and he said, Byron and Liz, I don't know why y'all do stories that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You just take one story from the Civil Rights Movement, and I guarantee you will have a hit on your hands. He said that over 40 years ago.
Wow.
And it's coming back. It's so true.
Yeah, I remember Hosea. He was on board and on board.
That's right. He was the bull in the china closet.
And he meant it.
He meant it. That's right. And I've never forgotten it because it's so true. And that's why the Joyce Ann Gaines story has to be told. If we don't tell our story, folks, what's going to happen is it will never get told. If we don't do my show, where I connect the dots of yesterday and the history, it'll never make sense. You'll think it just happened yesterday. Oh, no, 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 no. This has been ongoing, folks. So that the Watts riots gave birth to the Watts Riders that gave birth to Maya Angelou and Amiri Baraka and Ron Karenga. Reason why we are celebrating Kwanzaa today is because back then in 1965, Ron Karenga said it's time for us to have our own special holidays. And that's how that was born. Right out of the Watts riots. You see, and if you don't know the connect the dots of this particular history, you'll think that we didn't have any history in this country. Okay?
Which has been the case.
Which has been the case.
You know, I've been engaging my professors at school about, you know, the textbooks that we're using that, you know, regurgitates 2 or 3 accomplishments of our people when it's so vast.
That's right.
And, you know, I was just sitting here, as you know, today, Leonard, the director of photography, and I became the first black docents of Santa Clara County's open space reserve.
Wow, that's amazing.
And yeah, and I mean, and it is amazing, you know, because that is my passion outside of filmmaking is nature. And so I was just sitting here looking right now. The oldest national park ranger lives in the Bay Area. Her name is Betty Reed Soskin. And I think she's 100 years old.
Wow.
And still doing her job as a park ranger at the harbor at Richmond. And then this brother, Sheldon Johnson, author and park ranger of Yosemite. If you ever want to say, take the tour of the Buffalo Soldiers and the work of Booker T. Washington in Yosemite National Forest. These are the shoulders that we continue to stand upon. And I just wanted to acknowledge them for inspiring me to take the step and inquire about becoming a docent who really boils down to taking people on educational tours of nature here in Santa Clara County.
Well, I got to take a break here, Sister
Nedra.
Nedra.
Amazing.
Yes, it is. Congratulations. I got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation. You're listening to the BCS Experience on the GoPro Radio Network. We'll be right back.
GoPro Radio, the fastest growing network in the galaxy, is leaner and meaner with a new attitude, new technology, and a brand new lineup. Tune in and get wired every Wednesday, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern with the BCS Experience featuring Byron C. Saunders, formerly of New York City's WBAI. Then at 6 p.m., it's the Black Agenda TV Express featuring sought-out political commentator Glenn Ford, formerly of America's Black Forum. Then at 8 p.m., it's time for Kay Thompson Live with the legendary radio host Kay Thompson of Inner City Broadcasting's WLIB and her son, renowned actor Eric Payne, who starred in such films as Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, Drop Squad, and many more. Then, at 9 p.m., it's Food Rap, featuring Nina Markel, a.k.a. the unofficial mayor of Jersey City, and former Viacom marketing guru Shauna Glover. Last but not least, at 10 p.m. Eastern, it's The Sexy Party Show, with the bad boy of dating Mr. Locario of I Love New York fame and his partner in crime, Miles Cunningham. So get wired every Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern only on the GoPro Radio Network, www.goproradio.com. Listen to the voices in your head.
You want to know the truth, folks? Do you really want to know the truth? Well, perhaps you can't handle the truth. But if you can listen to GoPro Radio. Tune in at www.goproradio.com. Now, have I made myself clear?
GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head. I know I do.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
All right, we're back on the BCS Experience, and I got Sister Nedra on the line with me, along with Joyce Ann Gaines and her other good friend, and calling from Tennessee. I love it, Miss Hunter. We're going to look at this next piece that's up on YouTube, which will kind of tell you how to invest and become a supporter of the JAG project. Let it roll.
I wanted my life to be more than a riot.
Greetings, I'm Dorothy, and I'd like to thank you for your interest in the Joyce Ann Gaines story and for taking the time to watch this video.
My name is Christine Lowe, co-producer.
My name is Leonard Smith, Director of Photography.
The funds that you help us raise will go towards the reenactment scenes, as well as a second film shoot in Los Angeles, where we will conclude the series of interviews with Joyce, her family, and those impacted by the Watts riots.
The people that ran that liquor store were not very cohesive in the neighborhood to people. They were kind of mean to all of us that were going there, spending our money there, and my father started talking to people about that. You don't have to be treated like that when you go somewhere and spend your money. So it wasn't too long before people just stopped going because they used to listen to my father when he had things to say like that.
Because the reenactment scenes include Joyce's family journey to California in the 1930s, as well as the most pivotal event, Joyce's arrest nearly 50 years ago, the hiring of actors and extras, fitting them in period costumes, hair and makeup, and securing locations will all come from your contributions.
So I'm here at First Generation Studios with my mentor, Mr. Herb Ferret. Herb Ferret is a 7-time Emmy Award-winning post-production editor. And if you help us to fund this movie, this place will be the final fate of our project. How about that, Herb?
Of course.
On a shoestring budget, we have managed to complete more than half of this project, as well as conduct our first film shoot in Los Angeles, but we cannot finish this project without your donations.
If we are overfunded, then we can afford to pay for the licensing of never-before-seen footage that we're in possession of about the Watts riots as it was happening. We'll also be able to secure some of the professional help that we need, as well as the paperwork for park permits, which can be painfully slow. It is not our goal to simply make a great movie. We want to make a movie that others will refer to for years to come. So with much gratitude, we say thank you, and please help us.
Fund us.
Help us. Produced by Cool World Media.
All right, there you have it, Sister Nedra. We salute you. You're going to make this happen.
I believe so.
That's right. I really
I believe so.
And it takes hard work, folks. Making a film is not something easy. Making a docudrama is even more difficult because you got to match up footage to scenes to the story and then bring it to the people. And so, Sister Nedra and your crew, I salute you and thank you for sharing with us over the last year. We've been on, this is our third time, I believe. And they say that
so.
the third time is the charm. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sister Nedra.
Thank you
I
so
got to
much.
wrap this up. It goes real fast, but congratulations, Joyce and Gaines, Miss Hunter, and Sister Nedra. God bless you all. Thank you for being a part of the BCS experience. Hey, I got enough time, just enough time, I do believe, my special segment. We got international news coming all the way from Nigeria. You know, special BCS Experience International Report, Nigeria, a nation in crisis. The kidnapping of over 250 young girls being held hostage. The story you need to know from my Nigerian correspondent that must remain anonymous for security purposes. The origins of the current crisis. Boko Haram kills 43 in separate attacks. This was just last week, May 24th, this week actually. In news at 12:70 a.m. Okay, the Presidential Fact-Finding Committee on the abduction of over 200 Chibok girls is yet to visit Chibok 6 days after arrival in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. In the event, 24 people killed. It's ongoing, folks. There are military troops on the ground now from the United States, from the United Nations. The world is watching. Even the residents of Nigeria, the women themselves, have taken up their arms and fighting back. More news next week. You've got to keep the pressure on. Oh, all right. They tell me I got to wrap it up. This has been the BC Experience. GoPro Radio Network, your social network's radio live talk show. Produced and sponsored by BW Moving Images, Tyler Eusebia, Washington producer, Ayana L. Jones, executive director, Shauna L. Glover, online engineer, production assistants, the best, Tatiana Washington, you make my show rock, sister. And Tiana Washington, I love you. A special thank you to the Jazz Lounge Project and Andrew Julian Myers for my fabulous show's theme music. Listen, your support of BW Moving Images, you need to have in your library Disappearing Voices, The Decline of Black Radio. Get it today. Go to disappearingvoices.com. Say you heard it on the BCS Experience. You will get it autographed by the producer, Tylan Eusebia Washington, and the executive director, Ayana L. Jones. Hey, well, tune in next Wednesday when my show will be ready. We'll be ready for you, okay? The BCS Experience, 5 to 6 p.m. Coming up next is the Black Agenda TV Express, followed by Kay Thompson Live, followed by the Food Rep, and closing out with the Sexy Party Show. So you need to stay on the GoPro Radio Network. Hey, I'm Byron C. Saunders, and it's been all about the BCS Experience. Join me next Wednesday when my special guest will be you, my listening audience, with an opportunity to appreciate our rich cultural history and learn how it impacts on our days and our lives today. Until then, hey, I'm out of here for the moment. Peace and love, always.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.